Right, Pute. Today we are going to discuss our 14th paper. In this paper, we will discuss questions related to linear motion, displacement time graph, velocity time graph, and acceleration time graph. Right, Pute? Let's see the question. Right, Pute. In the first question, they have given a particle which is undergoing a circular path with a uniform speed. Right, Pute? When you consider velocity of the particle, even if the magnitude of the velocity remain constant, here the particle undergoes the circular motion with a uniform speed, no? Therefore, the magnitude of the velocity remain constant. But here, even if the magnitude of the velocity remain constant, you can observe that the direction of this velocity changes. Direction change. Therefore, velocity of the object changes with time. Right? Now you need to find the velocity difference between these two instances. Right? To find the velocity difference, you can apply vectors. Basically, this question is related to vectors, right, Pute? Delta V, velocity difference, is equal to final velocity minus initial velocity. Final velocity U is in upward direction minus initial velocity towards the right side. Right, Pute? Then අපි vectors දෙකක් අඩු කරන්න දන්නේ නැහැ. You can change the direction of the vector and sign of the vector. Here, this theory point you should remember, Pute, when you change the direction of a given vector, sign of the vector changes. මේ දෙන්න එක සැරේ වෙනවා, and these two vectors are equal. Then you can substitute this vector instead of this one. Vector addition, Pute. Now you can find this difference by applying parallelogram law. These are the two vectors you need to add. They have equal magnitude. Here the magnitude of two vectors are equal. Therefore, the resultant should bisect the angle between the two vectors. Therefore, this angle should be 45. To find the resultant, you can use component or parallelogram law. R squared is equal to P squared plus Q squared plus 2PQ cos 90. Angle between the two vectors is 90. Therefore, this term is 0. Then two equal vectors, U squared plus, not equal, they have equal magnitude, right? 2U squared, R squared, then R is equal to 2 squared square root. root 2 මෙයා U වෙනවා. Therefore, the vector sum, here the difference is root 2U angle 45 degree with the horizontal direction or vertical direction, right? Therefore, the answer is the difference of the velocity is root 2 times U angle 45 degree. This one is the answer for the first question, right? Balamu answer fourth one, right? Fourth one is the answer, root 2U 45 degree with the horizontal direction. Right, Pute. Let's see the next question. Right, Pute. Read the question number 2. A motion of an insect traveling on sand generate transverse waves traveling at 50 meters per second. Longitudinal waves traveling at 150 meters per second. ඊළඟට කියනවා පුතේ අර ස්කෝපියන් කෙනෙක් ඉන්නවලු. එයාට පුළුවන්ලු මේ distance එක detect කරන්න by using the time difference between the two arrival times. Right. Here you can observe that these two waves are produced by this insect at the same time. And they are propagated with different speed. They propagate with different speed. This transverse wave propagate with 50 meters per second. This longitudinal wave propagate with 150 meters per second. Therefore, this wave reaches to the observer. Observer means this scorpion first. Let us assume time taken by this longitudinal wave to propagate from this source mean insect, to the scorpion is delta, is t. Right, Pute? During this time interval, it will move distance s equals ut. You can obtain an expression for this distance. S equal speed of the wave is 150, time taken is t. Putala, during the same time interval, this transverse wave will move shorter distance. What is the reason? Speed of this transverse wave is less than the speed of the longitudinal wave. No? Therefore, this transverse wave will move a shorter distance during the same time interval at t equal t. And you can obtain an expression for this distance traveled by the transverse wave during the simple t time interval. It is equal to S equals ut, u is 50, 15 to t, right? Then you can observe that this transverse wave reaches to the observer after some time delay after the first wave. First wave means this longitudinal wave reaches to the observer. ඒ කියන්නේ පුතේ ඔයාලට තේරෙන්න ඕන මෙයා මෙතෙන්ට ඇවිල්ලා ඇයි මෙයා මෙතෙන්ට එනකොටත් පුතේ මෙයා ඉන්නේ මෙතනනේ. Therefore this transverse wave will reach to this observer after some time delay after to the first wave. First wave means this longitudinal wave reaches to the observer. මෙයා ඇවිල්ලා ටික වෙලාවකට පස්සේ තමයි ළමයි මෙයා එන්නේ. That time difference is given as the difference between the two arrival times. ඇයි මෙයා එනවා ඉස්සෙල්ලා මෙයා එනවා ඊට පස්සේ. දැන් ඔයා මතක තියාගන්න ඕනේ මෙයා මෙතෙන්ට ආවම තාම මෙයා ඉන්නේ මගේ ඇයි ළමයි මෙයාගේ ස්පීඩ් එක අඩු නිසා. Right. Then the time delay is given as delta t is equal to කොහොමද දීලා තියෙන්නේ ළමයි? Delta t is equal to 4 into 10 to the power minus 3 seconds. And this time, during this time interval, this transverse wave moves with speed 50 meters per second. Then you can identify this distance from here to here. You can apply S equals ut. U is 50, time interval, time delay එක නේ. කියන්නේ මෙයා ආවට පස්සෙලා මෙයා මෙතෙන්ට එනකොට මෙයා මෙතන ඉන්නේ ළමයි. මේ ඉතුරු delay එකේදී මේ time interval එකේදී මෙයා ඉතුරු ටික එන්න ඕනනේ මේ 50 meters per second වලින්. එතකොට මෙතන 50 time interval 4 into 10 to the power minus 3, 200 into 10 to the power minus 3 meters. From here to here distance is 200. Utala, now you can write an expression for this gap. It should be equal to from here to here S1 is 150t. This gap minus 50t. පුතේ මේ දුරෙන් මේක අඩු කරාම මේක එන්න ඕන නේද? Therefore difference between 150t minus 50t should be equal to 0.2. This is equal to 0.2, no? Then you can find t. T is equal to 100t is equal to 0.2. Then t is equal to 2 into 10 to the power minus 3 second. Then you can find this distance. You need to find the gap between insect and scorpion, no? Now you have find value for t. Then you can substitute that value for this expression. S equals 150 into 2 into 10 to the power minus 3. 300 into 10 to the power minus 3, then 0.3 meter is the answer. Right? මෙතන ළමයි අර අපි තේරුම් ගන්න ඕන වැදගත්ම දේ තමයි අර ටයිම් ඩිලේ එක. ඇයි මෙයාගේ ස්පීඩ් එක වැඩි නිසා එයා ඉස්සෙල්ලා මෙයාව අප්‍රෝච් කරනවා. හරිද? එයා එතෙන්ට එනකොට ළමයි මෙයා ඉන්නේ ඊට කලින් මේ වගේ තැනක. හරිද? එතකොට ටයිම් ඩිලේ එක කියන්නේ පුතේ මෙයාට මෙතන ඉඳලා මෙතෙන්ට එන්න ගියපු ටයිම් එක. It is equal to 4 into 10 to the power minus 3. මෙයා ඒ time delay එකේදී move වෙන්නේ 50 meters per second වලින්. එතකොට ඔයාලට මේ gap එක හොයාගන්න පුළුවන්. Then you can write expression for the distance difference. 150t minus 50t should be equal to 0.2. Then you can find t. Then you can substitute the value for t. Then you can find the gap between. Then you can find the gap between insect and the scorpion is 0.3 meters. Right? Let's see the next question. Right, Budhe, let's see the answer for the question number 3. A car moving along a straight line completes its journey in the first 1/3 of the total time it's take to complete journey. Right. At t equals 0 at the starting point, at t equal t is the total time taken by the car to complete the journey, right, Budhe? Here the first phase, they have given the first 1/3 of the total time it takes to complete its journey. That is t/3. Moving with speed v1. Then the second phase, second time interval, if the first phase is t/3, then the second phase should be 2t/3. My total time interval like a t. Moving with speed v2. Using these two data, you can obtain an expression for the total displacement, right? The total distance travel. S1 is equal to U1 T1, U1 is V1 T1 T/3. Then S2 is equal to U2 T2, U2 is V2, T2 is equal to 2T/3. These are the distances traveled by the car during V1 and V2 speed. Then you can obtain an expression for the total distance. S total is equal to S1 plus S2. S1 is V1 T/3. This one is 2V2 T/3. Then the total distance is 3 is a common denominator. T is a common factor V1 plus 2V2. So now you know the total distance. To find average speed, you can use the definition. Definition is total distance traveled divided by total time. No? Total distance is T times V1 plus 2V2 divide by 3 divide by total time is T. Then the answer is V1 plus 2V2/3. V1 plus 2V2/3. Second one is the answer. Right? Easy. They have given time intervals and speed. Then you can obtain an expression for the total distance traveled by using these two data. Then you can obtain average speed by dividing total distance by considering ratio between total distance and total time interval. Right, Pute? Let's see the next question. Right, Pute, let's see the answer for question number 4. They have given displacement time curve of two objects, car 1 and car 2. Read the question. The figure shows the displacement time graph for the motion of two cars with respect to a lamp post. Light කනුකට relatively එයාලගේ motion එක දීලා තියෙනවා. That means the displacements are measured relative to the light කනුව, relative to the lamp post, from the lamp post, right? බලන්න පුතේ. Consider the displacement to the right side from the lamp post as positive, right? Let me explain the motion. This one is the path. This is the lamp post located at the midpoint. Then you need to consider displacement measured from this lamp post towards the right side is a positive displacement, right? When you measure the displacement to the left side, it is a negative displacement, right? A student has made the following statement regarding the motion of the cars relevant to the points P. P තියෙනවා මෙතනනේ. Point P, ඊළඟට point Q and R. Right, ළමයි, before answering this question, let's explain the motion of each object. මේ එක car එකේ motion එක අපි clarify කරගමු ළමයි. Here you can observe that initial displacement of this blue color car is a negative displacement. Utala, that means at the beginning, this blue color car is to the left of the post. Post left side. And this negative displacement decreases with time. That means this object should move towards the lamp post. That's why this negative displacement decreases with time. Right? Move towards the lamp post. Light at point P, displacement becomes 0. That means object passes the lamp post, then it continues its motion towards the same direction. Therefore, this positive displacement increases with time towards the right side. Got it? Then you can explain the motion of this black color car 2. At the starting point, the displacement of this black color car is a positive displacement. That means at the beginning, this black color car is to the right of the lamp post. මෙයා ඉන්නේ පුතේ මේ light කනුවට දකුණු පැත්තේ. It is the car 2, right? Second one. Pude, then you can observe that this positive displacement of the black color car 2 decreases with time. That means it moves towards the lamp post. It moves towards the left side from this starting position. That's why displacement decreases with time. At point R, displacement becomes 0. This car passes the lamp post, then it continues its motion towards the left side. Therefore, this negative displacement increases. Got it? Today, you need to clarify the motion. Then you can consider each statement. Let me explain each statement. Capital A. බලන්න capital A වල මොකක්ද කියන්නේ කියලා පුතේ? Relevant to point P. පුතේ, first you know at this point this blue color car passes the lamp post, move towards the right side. And when you consider the motion of this black color car 2, it has positive displacement, right? These are the points you need to know relevant to point P, right? Let's see the statement capital A. Car 1 coming from left. Crosses the car 2. No, it is wrong. At this point, car 1 crosses the lamp post. At this point, there is a positive displacement for car 2. මෙයා මේ point එක pass කරනකොට when the car 1 passes the lamp post, you can observe that car 2 has a positive displacement. එයා ඉන්නේ මෙන්න මේ වගේ තැනක. එයාලා cross වෙන්නේ. Therefore, capital A statement is a incorrect statement. Let's see the capital B statement. Relevant to point Q. Here you can observe that at point Q, both objects have same displacement and they cross each other. Car 1 passes towards car 1 move towards the right side and car 2 move towards the left side, right? Both objects have same velocities. They cross each other. Car 1 move away from the lamppost. Car 2 move towards the lamppost. These are the points you can obtain from this graph, right? Let's see the statement B. Point Q, both cars are moving towards the lamppost. It is incorrect. Puthe, car 1 move away from the lamppost. This one move towards the lamppost. Then you can consider the statement C relevant to point R. Before the statement, here you can observe that displacement of car at point C, displacement of car 2 is 0. That means car 2 passes the lamppost. It continues its motion towards the left side. And when you consider the motion of car 1 at this time, it has positive displacement. And it moves towards the right side. Car 2 coming from right passes the lamppost. Yeah, at this point, car 2 passes the lamppost. It moves towards the left side. When you consider the motion of car 1, it has positive displacement and it is moving in the right side. Only C is a correct statement. Okay, C is a correct statement, right? C vitarai hari. Therefore, the answer is second one. Right. Let's see the next question. Right, Budhe, let's see the answer for question number 5, right? Read the question. Figure shows the 5 displacement time curves for 5 different objects. The object which has an acceleration in direction of its motion is represented by Budhe. When an object accelerates towards the direction of motion, velocity of the object should increases. Budhe, when the velocity of an object increases, the gradient of displacement time curve of the object should increase as positive gradient should increases with time. This acute angle should increases with time. Gradient should increases with time. Therefore, the answer is the fifth one, capital E. Right, Pute, read the question number 5. figure shows the velocity time graph for a particle which starts from rest and moves along x direction, right? At t equals 0, starting from x point x, and it continues towards the positive direction of the x-axis, right? All right, Pute, before answering the question, let me explain the motion. Pute, here you can observe that at t equals 0, velocity is 0, right? U is 0. Then it accelerates towards the positive direction. Therefore, its velocity increases. Then it decelerates, but it has positive velocities. Due to these positive velocities, even if these velocities decreases, it moves towards the positive direction. මොකද මේවා ළමයි positive velocities. At t equals t2, its velocity becomes 0. Until this point, it moves towards the positive direction because of these positive velocities. Therefore, it increases its displacement towards the right side, towards the positive direction. Then v2 becomes 0 at t2. Here you can observe that from this point, negative velocities increase. When the negative, that means object turn back from this point. Due to these negative velocities, it moves to the opposite direction, that means to the left side. Then displacement of the object decreases. Then it continues its motion. First, negative velocities increases, then negative velocities decreases. But at t equal t3, negative velocity becomes 0. That means object comes to rest at t equals t3. Today, here you can observe that this area represents the distance traveled towards the positive direction, that means towards the right side. This negative area represents the distance traveled by the object towards the left side due to negative velocities. Here you can observe that this positive area is greater than negative area. Therefore, finally, this object should have positive displacement, right? Let's see the answers. Capital A statement. The particle comes to rest only at t equals t3. Pute, it is a incorrect statement. Why? Not only at t equals t3, but also at t equal t2, velocity of the particle is 0. මෙතෙන්දිත් ළමයි කියන්නේ velocity එක 0 වෙනවා. Therefore, capital A statement is an incorrect statement. Let's see the statement B. The particle returns to its original position at t equals t3. It is a wrong statement. Why? You can observe that this positive displacement is greater than the negative displacement. Therefore, finally, this object should have positive displacement. B is an incorrect statement. Statement C. The particle accelerates only during the time interval from t equals 0 to t equal t1. Here you can observe that from t equals 0 to t equal t1, this angle is an acute angle. Therefore, this object should accelerate. This angle is an obtuse angle. Therefore, from here to here, object should decelerate. From here to here, you can observe that again, this alpha 3 angle is an acute angle. Therefore, object should accelerate from here to here. එතකොට මෙතෙන්ද විතරක් නෙමෙයි ළමයි, from here to here, this object should accelerate. Therefore, C statement is incorrect. ඔක්කොම වැරදි ළමයි. Right? ළමයි මේකේ answer එක නෑ. මේකේ ඔක්කොම statements වැරදි, right? Let's see the next question. Right, පුතේ, let's see the answer for this question. පුතේ දැන් අද මේ වෙනකොට ඔයාලා උදේ ස්කූල් ගිහිල්ලා ඊට පස්සේ හවස තව ක්ලාස් එකකට ගිහිල්ලා, මොකද මම මේ ක්ලාස් එක 9:30 ස්ටාර්ට් කරන්නේත් ගොඩක් අය මට මෙසේජ් කරලා දෙනවා සර් දවස ක්ලාස් එකක් තියෙනවා ඒකෙන් පස්සේ කරන්න කියලා. ඒකයි මම ඔයාලට ඒ ක්ලාස් එකටත් ගිහින් ඇවිත් තව පැයක් විතර ටයිම් එක දීලා මේ ඩිස්කෂන් එක පටන් ගන්න. එතකොට මම දන්නවා ඔයාලට අමාරුයි කියලා. හරිද? හැබැයි පුතේ ඔයාලා දැන් ගොඩක් අය මේ වෙනකොට ඔයාලගේ මැක්සිමම් එෆර්ට් එක දීලා ඇත්තේ අද දවසේ. මම ඔයාලට දෙයක් කියන්නම්. පුතේ ඔයාලා චැලෙන්ජ් කරන්න ඔයාලගේ මැක්සිමම් එෆර්ට් එකට. එතකොට හැමදාම ඔයාලා ඔයාලගේ අර මැක්සිමම් එක්සර්ෂන් පොයින්ට් එකට කියන්නේ උපරිම මහන්සි වෙලා තියෙන තැනටත් තව ටිකක් වැඩ කරොත් එතෙන්ටත් චැලෙන්ජ් කරලා තව MCQ 10ක් කරගත්තොත් ඔයාලගේ අර මැක්සිමම් එෆර්ට් එක කියන එක තව එක්ස්පෑන්ඩ් වෙනවා ළමයි. එතකොට ඔයාලට හෙට මීටත් වඩා වැඩ ටිකක් කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඒක නිසා පුතේ මම දන්නවා අමාරුයි කියලා. හැබැයි ඒක ගැන හිතන්න එපා. ඔයාලගේ ඔළුවේ තියන්න ඔයාලා ලෙවල් කරන කෙනෙක් මම ඉන්නේ ලොකු කම්පිටිෂන් එකක. මේ කම්පිටිෂන් එකේ මම වැඩ කරේනටත් අනිත් අය වැඩ කරනවා. ඒක නිසා මම ගේමක් ගහන්න ඕන මම වෙනුවෙන්. ඒක ඔළුවේ තියාගෙන හැමදාම හැම මොහොතෙම try කරන්න ඔයාලගේ maximum effort එකට challenge කරලා ඊට වඩා තව ටිකක් වැඩිපුර වැඩ කරන්න. ඒකෙන් ඔයාලටමයි හොඳ. මොකද ඔයාලා අදට වඩා හෙට expand වෙච්ච කෙනෙක් වෙනවා. තේරුණා නේද? මම දන්නවා අමාරුයි කියලා. අපි continuously මේ MCQ 10 සමතලා කරලා දාමු. තේරුණාද පුතේ? මතක තියාගන්න A level කරන කෙනෙක් විදියට ඔයාලගේ maximum effort එකට ඔයා challenge කරන්න හැමදාම. හරිද? right. බලමු පුතේ answer එක මේ question එකට. Consider the velocity time graph given below. The ratio between the distances traveled by the object in the first 3 seconds. Putte, what is the theory point? Area under the curve represent the distance, right? Here you need to find the ratio between the distances traveled by the object in the first 3 seconds to the distances traveled in the last 2 seconds. First, you need to identify the velocity of the object at t equal 3 seconds to find the area, right? To find the velocity, you can consider the gradient. Gradient of this graph represent the acceleration. You can obtain gradient by considering this side and this side. Opposite side is 15, adjacent side is 5. Then the gradient is 3 meters per square second. Then you can obtain velocity of the particle at t equal T3. Again, you can apply gradient equals tan alpha. Now you have find the value for gradient 3. මේ side ratio එකත් equal වෙන්න ඕන නේද ළමයි? පොඩි triangle එක ගත්තත් ලොකු triangle එක ගත්තත් එකම angle එකට tan ratio එක constant වෙන්න ඕන නේද පුතේ? This one is V2. This adjacent side is 3. Then you can obtain V2 as 9 meters per second. Then you can identify the distance, displacement of the particle during first 3 seconds by considering this area under the curve relevant time interval, right? Half into base is 3, altitude is V2 is find as 9. Then 27 over 2 is the distance traveled by the particle during first 3 seconds. Then you can obtain displacement of the particle during the last 2 seconds. To obtain the displacement, you need to consider this area. This one is a trapezium. කොහොමද ළමයි trapezium එකක area එක හොයන්නේ? Sum of the two parallel side. This one is 9. 9 plus 15 divide by 2 and perpendicular height and or altitude 2. This area is 9 plus 15, 24 meters. That is distance traveled by the object during the first 3 seconds is 27 over 2 meters. During the last 2 seconds, 24 meter. You need to find the ratio, right? What is the ratio? The ratio between the distance traveled by the object in the first 3 seconds, 27 over 2 divide by 24 last 2 seconds. Reciprocal multiplying 3 times 8, 3 times 9, 9 over 8 into 2, 16. First one is the answer. Eka easy neda lama. Easy. Right, Putara, let's see the answer for the question number 8. The figure shows the velocity time graph for an object moving along a straight line. What is the average velocity of the object from t equal 0 to t equal 4 seconds? To obtain average velocity, you should know the total displacement and total time taken. By using this velocity time graph, by considering this area under the given VT curve, you can obtain the total displacement during the given time interval. Then you can find the average velocity, make a easy thing, right? Let me explain. This area is, area of this rectangle is 3 into 3, it is a square, 9 meters. From here to here, again 1 into 1, yeah, 1, 1 into 1, 1. Therefore, the total displacement is 10. Total time taken 4. Therefore, the average velocity is 2.5 meters per second. Which one is the answer? Third one is the answer. Right. Let's see the question number 9. Right, Budhe, let me explain the question. මේක තමයි ළමයි paper එකේ තියෙන හොඳම question එක. Right? What is the corresponding VT graph for the given ST graph? To identify the variation of velocity with time, you can consider the gradient of this displacement time curve. First, you need to consider the gradient at the starting point of the curve at t equals 0. Then you can identify, when you draw a tangent to the curve, then you can identify there is an acute angle. That means this object start motion from a positive velocity. Then you can observe that this velocity increases with time. Positive velocity increases with time. Therefore, you can ignore the answers. First එක, second එක, fifth එක. මේ answers වාට ignore කරන්න පුළුවන්. මොකද එයාලගේ initial velocity is 0. But according to this gradient, there should be an initial velocity, right? Positive velocity, right? Then they accelerate, but positive velocity increases during the first phase. Then you can observe that again this acute angle, alpha 1, alpha 2, alpha 3 decreases. Then when the acute angle decreases, at this point it becomes 0. When this angle decreases, positive velocity decreases, and when it is equal to 0, velocity becomes 0. Utala, then you can observe that this obtuse angle again decreases. When the obtuse angle decreases, velocity negatively increases. Right? Velocity negatively increases. Then again, this obtuse angle increases. When the obtuse angle increases, velocity negatively decreases. Now you can clarify the motion. Due to these positive velocities, object move towards the positive direction. Due to these negative velocities, object move towards the opposite direction. Here you can observe that according to this displacement time graph, at the end of the motion, this object has a positive displacement. Positive displacement. Therefore, this positive area, distance traveled towards the positive direction, should be greater than distance traveled towards the opposite direction. Again, negative velocity වලින් ගියපු distance එකට වඩා positive velocity වලින් ගියපු distance එක වැඩි වෙන්න ඕන. Therefore, the correct answer is the fourth one. In the third one, you can observe that distance travel in negative velocity is greater. Therefore, it should have negative final displacement, right? Right, Pute. Let's see the answer for the question number 10. The acceleration time graph drawn for the motion of an object starting from rest from t equals 0 to t equal 8 seconds is given below. You need to identify the velocity and relevant time intervals, right, Pute? Pute, when you consider a graph, you need to know what are the points you can obtain by considering coordinates, x and y coordinates. What are the points you can obtain by considering gradient of the graph? What are the points you can obtain by considering area? Pute, when you consider the area under acceleration time graph, you can obtain the, what is the theory point? When you consider the area under acceleration time graph, this area gives the velocity change occurred in the object. Velocity change. Right? Let's see the answer. Here the initial velocity of the object is 0. Therefore, velocity change is equal to final velocity minus initial velocity. When the initial velocity is equal to 0, velocity change is equal to the final velocity. Therefore, during the first 2 seconds, velocity change is equal to the area under the curve, 4 into 2, 8 meters per second. Initial velocity is 0, therefore the final velocity is equal to 8 meters per second. It is equal to 8 meters per second. It accelerates with the uniform acceleration, therefore this gradient should be a constant gradient, right? Then from t equal 2 seconds to t equal 4 seconds, it moves with 0 acceleration. That means it continues its motion with a uniform speed. Then the acceleration is 0, no? During the time interval t equal 4 seconds to t equal 5 seconds, it has negative acceleration having magnitude 8 meters per second. Due to this negative acceleration, deceleration, it decelerates. Velocity decreases. Today, you can obtain the velocity difference occurred here by considering this area 8 into 1, 4251, 8 meters per second. That is, velocity decreases by 8 meters per second. Velocity is 0. When this object decelerates during this time interval, its velocity decrease from 8 meters per second to 0. Right? Right. Then this object again accelerates. It has positive acceleration. Due to this acceleration, its velocity increases. Velocity of this object should increases by 8 into velocity change. What is the change? 8 into area under the curve, 8 into 2, 16 meters per second. Here, at the starting point of this time interval at equal 5, velocity is 0. Then it accelerates uniformly from 0 to 16 meters per second. At the starting point, velocity of the particle is 0. Velocity change is 16. Velocity increase by 16 meters per second. The final velocity is 0. This acceleration is a constant acceleration. Therefore, the gradient is a constant gradient. In the last second, acceleration is 0. That means object continues its motion with the uniform velocity 16 meters per second. That is, maximum velocity is 16 meters per second, and it continues this motion from here to here during 1 second. Got it? Answer is third one. Right, lamai? Right. Har lamai api discussion එක ඉවර කරනවා. එතකොට ළමයි අපි මේ week එකේ start කරනවා equation of motion කියන theory point එක. එතකොට ඔයාලගේ යාළුවන්ට class එකට join වෙනවා නම් එයාලට කියන්න මේ week එකේ join වෙන්න කියලා. මොකද එතකොට එයාලට මෙතන ඉඳලා class එක continue කරන්න පුළුවන්. මේ වෙනකන් කරපු හැම lesson එකකම recordings අපි එයාලට free දෙනවා. right? හරි ළමයි. එහෙනම් අපි ඊළඟ class එකෙන් හම්බෙමු.